Hello, good morning, and welcome to today's edition of Talking to Introverts. I'm Denise Oliver, and with me is the ever present.
Hello, my name's Sami Blackford.
Hello. Um, just to bring everyone up to date, our last recording had a guest. My friend Sarah was our guest, who is a very extrovert person. And Sarah is now back across the other side of the world. She has travelled to Dubai, to New Zealand, to Australia, to Bougainville, which is the island where she's doing voluntary services. So she's tucked nicely back into her community and 30-degree heat permanently. Beautiful sunrises and sunsets. So she sends me amazing photographs all of the time. So, hello, my friend Sarah. If you listen to this, you're on our podcast again and you're not even here. So, thank you for joining us for that one, Sarah. Really appreciate it. And I hope you enjoyed it as well. So, today's topic, what is it going to be?
Today we are going to talk about, I feel like it's such a loaded topic, um, social media. So we might talk about it in terms of being in business, in terms of just, general personal use, um, and the whole introvert slash extrovert way of approaching social media.
So, I'm going to ask you a question. What do you love about social media?
And I think my silence speaks volumes.
I thought exactly the same thing. There must be something.
I think from a personal use point of view, it's a way of keeping in contact with friends who are not local anymore. So I've got friends since like I've known since nursery, and we're kind of in the far-flung corners of the UK now. One's up in Aberdeenshire, one's down on the south coast, etc., etc. So keeping kind of up to date maybe with what's going on in their worlds, um, when you can't really, see them to catch up. But even from that point of view, we tend to use message more than like social media. Um, so yeah, I tried to find a positive, and then just
It's sliding away from you back. I can see it happening. Yeah. Um, yeah, in personal life, excuse me, I do have a bit of a cough. I'm the same. It's a way of keeping in touch with friends and family, or not so much. I don't use it very often. Um, and I do think that is the introvert. It's that
mm,
might not actually be physically speaking with someone, but just the constant having, or the sense of constantly having to post something, um, is just, it's just like, it's overwhelming at times.
mm.
My husband is an extrovert and he doesn't do social media at all. I think it's an age thing. But you have a partner who's definitely an extrovert. Does he enjoy social media? Does he use it?
He doesn't so much. So every now and again, he will kind of, not so much lately, because I think he's realized what was happening, but he would go into the term posting frenzy came to mind, where like he'll post like quite a lot, um, and then like he'll stop for months and months and months. And he came to realize that that was like, he didn't really know why he was doing that. It was some sort of external validation he was looking for, or something like that. So now he very, very rarely uses it.
Just like prefers to talk to someone.
Oh gosh, yes.
Yes. And I wonder sometimes, um, specifically thinking about introverts in business, if introverts use social media instead of actually speaking to people, because at the end of the day, people need to speak to people. It has to happen. You can't live in a bubble. And I think social media has tricked quite a lot of introvert brains into thinking that all they have to do is post and they'll get clients and they'll get known. It actually doesn't quite work like that, has been my experience of it. I do post in terms of business social media and only on Facebook because
Mm.
that's where my audience is. That's what I learned as I've gone along over the years. I also think that we can be dragged into thinking we have to be on every platform. And again, I don't know an introvert who's going to enjoy doing that. And yet, if they're
No.
in business, that's a huge possibility that they think they should be everywhere, and actually it doesn't suit their energy to do that.
And even like not just their energy, because yeah, I completely agree. I don't think any introvert would enjoy having to be on every social media platform. And I don't think they'd be able to do it. Like something is going to get left in the, whatever that phrase is, somewhere along the line. So not even just from their energy point of view, but from a business point of view, they won't need to be on every platform because their clients or their customers that they're looking for are not going to be on every platform.
But that if you have that understanding right from the start, that's great. But
Mm.
a lot of women in business, and I'm particularly thinking in my world, in the therapy practitioner coaching world, don't recognize that to start with.
Mm.
And someone will really love something like LinkedIn, or they'll really love Twitter, or they'll really love Facebook or Instagram or TikTok or wherever else you're supposed to be. And that person starting out in business will try that platform and find that it's not working for them because they don't understand how to use it. So they'll go on another one because someone else has said, oh no, I find my best platform is X or Y or Z. And suddenly they're on every platform and spreading themselves too thinly
Mm.
because that's not how it works.
Yeah, yeah, I've been there
Oh, totally. So have I. I
completely.
can speak from experience. I'm not like I'm not making this a right or wrong. This
Mm.
has been observation from my own world. Yeah, it's not great.
Yeah. And I think going back to what you were saying about introverts and the use of social media, I think it's interesting, isn't it? Because social media is such, well, in my point of view, such a an extrovert world. Because I mean, like, go on, use Instagram as an example. You go on there, and it's so loud, not necessarily like volume loud, but there's faces talking at you, there's bright colors, there's flashy graphics, there's all this, that, and the other that's kind of like an assault on the senses. And it's such an extrovert world to be in. And yet, I think you're right. I think it is also sort of seen as a safe place or a safe um, way to market your business, speaking particularly about people using it for business, for introverts, because you can, apart from the people who are talking at you, their faces are on camera, you can kind of hide behind your account. You can, what's that phrase when you kind of post and run? What's that one? Post and ghost. You can just like
Yeah.
drop a post out there and then like, oh, I don't have to talk to anybody. Just put that out there and run away. So I think from that point of view, it is an, in inverted commas, introvert friendly way of marketing. But used in that way, it's not going to be the most effective form of marketing. I think these days, with social media being what it is, like the monster that it is now, you're not going to get away with just posting and running away, and that's then, have a huge following and a huge business from that. I mean, back in the day, you could have done it, when Instagram or whatever was in its infancy, but these days, no, you're not going to get away with it.
No. No, I mean, there's so many different platforms these days that, yeah, I just use Facebook for my business, and Instagram is more for everyday life.
Mm.
And now it's every week. It's not even every day. I only started on Instagram actually a few years back, because I take a lot of photographs on my phone, and my daughter was like, "You should share some of these. These are really good." I was like, "Share them where? Doing what? What do you mean?" And she's like, "Oh, Instagram." She showed me how to use Instagram, what Instagram stories were, and all of that. And I'm looking at like 5, 6 years ago now.
Mm.
And I never started it for my business. Well, I did try it because you can have a business link to your main account. And it was just like, oh my God, there's just too many of these different aspects to being on social media. So there's like, I think they used to be called like zombie accounts where they're just all lurking. There's all this stuff just lurking out there in the ether, eating up, gobbling up energy, um, that's in short supply apparently. But you wouldn't think so from social media point of view. I was going to say something else about that. So yeah, so I started out because it is a colourful world, social media, and Instagram in particular. And I like the tiles and seeing photographs. And some people do the most amazing photography, much
Mm.
better than mine because they understand how to use all the gizmos and gadgets that your phone offer. When you take a photograph, how to highlight it and all of that sort of thing. No, what you get from me is the photograph, no filters. Don't do filters, like too much like hard work messing about with that sort of stuff. Um, so yeah, so that's how I started. My daughter encouraging me to post on there regularly, and then suddenly you could post on Instagram and on Facebook at the same time. Oh my word. So it went to two places at once. Boom, loved that. Except it doesn't always quite cross over. It's just yeah, similar but not the same platforms. But I never got into TikTok, which really took off during COVID. I've never even looked at the platform. I've no idea. But
No,
I
me
know
neither.
that a lot of it gets shared across into the Facebook and Instagram world. But I think that TikTok came along when extroverts were hemmed in, and it gave them a release. You know, you could watch someone run a marathon around their back garden. It's just okay. That's an extrovert needing to get out. Um, yeah, I was on LinkedIn. I deleted that because, again, I'm not necessarily looking to work with businesses. And I thought, why do I keep trying to do this when that's not where my audience is? And I guess,
Yeah.
yeah, just go on. I'll save that one. I'll come back to it. Go on.
Well, I was just going to say about LinkedIn. I remember somebody saying to me, gosh, a few years ago now, because I was always like, with my previous business, like LinkedIn is very career, jobs, business kind of oriented. And I was like, that's not my people.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not connected, being a skincare business, I'm not connected to that world really in any way. And somebody said to me, yeah, but everybody who is on there has got skin, they have personal lives, they have, all the stuff outside of their work, career, business life. So I was like, oh, okay, yeah, no, that's a fair point. And still, like, I think I did kind of dabble a bit, but not enough to really make any impact through it. And looking back now, it's like, yeah, but still, that's not what the platform's for. The platform still, because I do still have my profile on there. I haven't used it for a long time. And I still get, like the notifications, such and such is hiring, and we found these sorts of jobs in your area, and I'm like, I'm not looking for a job, but still, that's what the platform is about.
Yeah.
Um, so even now, even though I'm in the more businessy world, so I work with other businesses, they are my clients now. I still don't think that's for me because it's still very much or feels to me a very much a corporate career type platform. And I know it's changed a lot, but I still don't think it's for me.
Mm.
And I don't need anybody to try and persuade me.
I
It's
know, I know, I
fine.
know. Same
It's
here.
fine.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember trying Twitter back in the day, and I just didn't like the language of it. I know in Honey had certain number of characters, and I actually found it quite male and aggressive. And whether that's changed, I don't know. I don't care. I don't want to know. I won't be on it. And I do think perhaps there are certain categories of industry that suit certain platforms more than others.
Mm.
So, yeah, I won't be tweeting again anytime soon. Thank you very much.
No, and I think going back to what you were saying about, not having the energy to be on all platforms, like across the board. Like I have this conversation with clients when they're talking about marketing their business, and generally, as I've probably said on here before, and I know I've said to you, Denise, like if you don't enjoy social media, don't do it. It's fine. I don't do
Yeah.
it. For my business, marketing my business. And so I say to clients, it's like there are companies who have a whole team of staff running social media accounts. Like it's a multiple person full time job to be on all of the platforms. As one person in a business, because most of people in our world, business owners, are solopreneurs, perhaps with a very small team. Um, how can you possibly be on all of the platforms and use them to their best effect and still run your business and you know serve your clients, your customers, whatever it is,
I
and
don't
not burn
think
out?
there aren't enough hours in the day, are there?
No.
And as an introvert, I absolutely have to have time in my day, every single day, where there's no noise. And that means no social media, no telly, no radio, no nothing. I have to just sit quietly. And I get that's not for everyone. And, there are people out there, the extrovert world more so, that actually feed off the energy of other people. But I have to, and so do you, have to create that my energy from solitude, from being alone.
Mm.
Sometimes I read, but other times it's not even meditating. I'm just being quiet. And I just get a sense of, as I'm doing that deep breath comes and I'm like, oh, I'm all right now. I'm okay. I can get back out into the world of people now. Okay, let's see what's going on. I've had to learn that the hard way though, by literally burning out, trying to do everything. Uh,
Mm.
because everyone's got a point of view, everyone's got their own favorite social media, their favorite platforms, their favorite way of doing things. And then I've got friends who had businesses before social media, very successful solopreneur businesses. And talking to them in days gone by, the only way they could get business was to meet other people, whether they were introverts or extroverts. That was the only way they could do it, whether they had to get on the phone to them, whether they went networking, whether they got into conversation with someone at the bus stop. That's what they had to do. And I think that there's still a need for that, very much
Mm.
so. And possibly even more so since COVID, because people are still reeling from the impact of it all. And social media only goes so far. Watching telly only takes you so far. That you do have to have a chat with someone at some point about what you do.
Mm.
Probably why we started the networking group that we started.
Yeah.
For that, it is for introverts. It is a very gentle form of networking. And we even had a lady who came to us for the first time, didn't we? And just said she'd never experienced anything like it, and she hates networking, and she was scared of
Mm.
it, blah blah blah. But not ours, because of the pace and the gentleness and the colouring in that we do, because that works for introverts.
Yeah.
An extrovert, me talking about our networking will positively turn you off. You won't want to do it. It's far too quiet, and no one talks over anyone. Everyone sits and listens. Not something an extrovert does easily. um, and that's just a comparison. It's not a right or a wrong. You are what you are. Just
Mm.
know that. What I was going to say earlier was I think a lot of, and I'm going to talk women because that's who we talk to, when it comes to social media and their business, haven't fully grasped what a niche is or why they need it. And so they have a scattergun approach across all social media because they want to help everyone. And I can help everyone, you can help everyone. But unless we actually have that niche, that specialism within our own modality, it's like we're not really talking to anyone, trying to
Mm.
talk to everyone. The world's a big place, social media is massive. And you just won't get the traction in the same way. And you just get burnt out trying so hard to be everywhere and there for everyone except yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, and you're right. There's such like I think especially for I'm going to finish a sentence in a minute. From my point of view, so my experience and from a lot of business women that I have spoken to, they go into business, like you say, want to serve everybody and don't necessarily understand choosing a niche or whatever you want to call that, creating a client avatar, your ideal client, dream customer, whatever it is. And then when they learn about it, there becomes such resistance because, but I want, and I think especially in the professions like therapy, it's different forms of therapies, like practitioners, coaches, those sorts of healing in inverted commas, helping sort of well-being and all of those sorts of arenas, because it does more often than not come from a place of service and wanting to help.
Yeah.
And so there is that I want to help everybody. So yeah, we see such resistance from people to just pick one person, one type of person to focus on. But as you say, like it's completely right. If you're trying to serve everybody, then it's not going to work. You're not going to connect with people in a way that you would if you focused on one person. And you can see this in like any brand, any business that you see on the high street, on wherever, advertising on TV, on social media, whatever, they will have their style that comes across. And like I'll be watching TV sometimes and I'll see an advert, I'm like, I'm not their target customer. Because the way like it's either really loud or really like there's there's one for these like cooking boxes, these meal boxes that come through, and there's one where they're like really cool people and they're dancing in the kitchen and they're like doing all this stuff. I'm like, yeah, I'm not their target customer. I don't want to be dancing in the kitchen while I'm cooking. I'm just going to be nicely quietly cooking away. And that's what I mean. It's like if I was that cool, wants to have the kitchen disco type cooking person, that advert would connect with me more than one that was just kind of like generic, trying to attract everybody. And okay, yes, I was kind of turned off from that advert and didn't want to buy their product, but that's okay. Like
Yeah.
that, and especially as like micro businesses, we can't serve everybody. Like if everybody, even just in like a 5 mile radius of where you operate from, if everybody wanted to buy from you, it would break your business.
Yes, it will break you.
Yeah.
You are your business. Yeah. I remember getting together back in the day when I'd started with Access Consciousness and doing a lot of bars, and I was training people in bars. And there's a few of us that would get together in groups to work out how we were going to market ourselves. And I just did a little bit of number crunching, and I looked at the areas where everybody lived. And I'll just stick with where I live, which is Chester. And I'm very close to the city centre where I am. It's gorgeous. I love it. And when I looked up the number of residents, and I'm going to say it was pre-COVID, way before, I'm going to maybe even be 10 years ago. In the city centre alone, there are 73,000 plus people. Now, if I take children out of that, I don't know what that comes down to. If I then halve that and I go for 35,000, because I'm looking at women more than men to work with, how the hell do I get round 35,000 women to help them feel better? I have to keep narrowing it down. But it was one of the things that I picked up on, and I couldn't get it across to the other women in this group that there's no way we were in competition. Because there's just so many people out there who require our services. So you go back to where you live, look up how many people live in your area, and then work out how many per day, per week, per month you think you want to see. How much time do you have to fit these people in around your families and your dog walking and your food shopping and all of that? And realistically, it was like a maximum of 10 a week, and that was a lot. And it's just like, so 10 a week, how many weeks in the year are they? And you're not going to be working every single week because you're going to be on holiday. And I was doing all this number crunching, and eventually it did click with a couple of them. And they were like, oh. And it's just like, yeah. And we're all different ages. We've all got different backgrounds. They've all got different energies. Do you think everyone in Chester city centre, if I spoke to them, is going to want to come to me as their therapist stroke coach stroke practitioner? They're not, because we don't have things in common. It's just like, ooh. But it actually, I have to be honest, took me a long time to fully niche my business. I knew I was there for women, and it was all about women's empowerment, and women really finding their strengths in this world, whatever they might be. But to actually niche that even further and know what age group and where they live and what sort of car they drive, which is often a thing that happens, isn't it, to try and get your brain to focus on who your ideal client is. That's taken ages. It really has. And I think social media has to come into that conversation as well. Which platform do you like hanging out on, and why? Which is your favorite one? And choose that and learn it and learn how it works, because they change all the time as well. The little devils that are always altering something.
Well, yeah, I was thinking before when you said that you've never even looked at TikTok. Through my mind went, well, you don't really need to explore the new platforms that come along. Facebook and Instagram will like steal their ideas eventually, won't they? I mean, like, what is it? Reels was TikTok on Instagram. I don't think they do it anymore, but Instagram TV that used to be around a few years ago was YouTube on Instagram.
IGTV. Yeah,
that was it.
Yeah.
So yeah, Facebook and Instagram will eventually take any new idea and put it in their platform. But going back to what you were saying about Instagram, about how you started using it like for personal use to share your photos, that's how I started using it as well. And I think personally, like from my point of view as a user, and I dare say, Mark Zuckerberg raking in the millions is probably going to disagree with me, but I think it's lost a lot over the years, Instagram. because I think it's really lost. Obviously, it wasn't created by Mark Zuckerberg. Facebook bought it out, but I think when it was first created, it was very much a visual still image sharing platform. Um, and I miss that about
Mm.
Instagram. Like what I was saying before about Instagram is now a very loud place. Like I go out, like I don't have it on my phone anymore, so I haven't been on it for a few months. Um, because I got to that place where just as a user, I'd go on there and like there was just faces talking at me all the time. It's like, this is not what I want from this platform. I want to see, the really nice imagery, photography, because you're right, there is some amazing photographers on there. And it's like everybody was trying to get me to buy something, and that's what really like put the final nail in the coffin that I wasn't using it for business anymore. It's like I don't want to contribute to that. Because if I'm not enjoying it as a user, why would anybody else enjoy me just selling to them? I mean, obviously, as a business, don't just use it as to sell, you offer value and all of that. But
Are you done?
I'm going to just step down off my soapbox.
I do still like Instagram, and I'm very particular about what I'll look at, and I will just keep scrolling past the adverts. I love watching things to do with dogs because it's funny. Some people are very clever with their dogs and what they show them. I want it works like entertainment for me. So I do want to be entertained by people's photographs of beautiful landscapes and things like that. I look at lots of very quiet things. So I follow a lot of crafts people when they're showing how they do their crafts. They're not necessarily talking though. So it's got a lot, what's it called? Oh, I can't remember what it stands for, ASMR or something like that, where there's
Yeah.
quiet sounds and like rainfall and things like that are very soothing. So I only watch those sorts of things. I mean, there's some hilarious people on there, and I will flick through what they're doing. Um, I came across a group of dads, and I can't remember what their title is, something like Out of Breath Daddies. They're doing these dance routines, a bit like something from, and again, my brain's gone. What's that film that came out where the men strip off on stage?
Oh, full Monty.
The Full Monty. So they're it's a bit like that, but they're not taking their clothes off. They're just dancing in a room. And very well, I have to say. They're very well choreographed for your average guy. Out of puff daddies, that's what they're called. I thought that was hilarious. Um, but yeah, I follow a lot of people with their dogs and what their dogs are doing. Lots of craft stuff. I particularly like a lady called Jessie Chorley, who's got the most gorgeous studio somewhere on the Thames in London, and I buy a lot of her products. And I've done that via finding her on Instagram. She's not
Mm.
selling to me; she's just showing me her lifestyle. And that again, I think, is something people, rather than sell at me, which turns me off, she's just showing me. And it's just like, yeah, I want a bit of that. And that's why I buy
Yeah.
the things. I want,
And I
oh, I love what you've done with that. I want to do something similar. So then I go, click on her link to her website and go looking to see what's available.
I think that's where businesses kind of fall down with social media is that they see it as a selling platform, and they will sell at you. Whereas, by the sounds of it, this lady that you follow um, has does it well, as in she's not always like, I've got this product, I've got this product, I've got this product. It's more of that inviting you into the world of this business, this person. And I think when you can do that well, that's when social media for business marketing becomes effective.
I think one of the things that I've had to acknowledge is that whether you like it or not, there is behind the scenes of the Facebooks, the Instagrams, the TikToks, a lot of information. And in business, they have gathered the information that we haven't time to get. So understanding how to use these platforms for business, how to I'm going to say tap in to their resources. Yes, you have to pay for it as a business if you want to put ads out there. But before you do, make sure you know your niche so that you're
Mm,
not, again, scattergunning around. It just costs you money. You can use their, I don't know how to do it. I don't know how you do things like Facebook ads or anything like that because I've never tried it. But before you spend a small fortune, drill down into who you're actually talking to and keep your fortune in your pocket and only spend a minimum amount while you perhaps practice, while you find out what people like, whether people are interested in buying a product from you. Because
mm,
it is a way of navigating what is a massive minefield of people. Massive.
yeah. Yeah, because like with social media now being the monumental business that it is, and the number of businesses now using it as marketing, um, organic reach, as it's called, so who will naturally see your post has like dwindled to, a tiny amount. Like you might have, I don't know, 1,000 followers or whatever, and maybe 50 people of that will actually just naturally see your post. And that, yes, I think in some way comes down to how your followers use the platform. So, if you're on there and so as a user, if you like somebody's posts regularly, you will see more of their posts. You know, I think also I think it's inbuilt behind the scenes that if you're obviously a business, that these social media platforms are businesses in themselves, so they want to get you to pay them money to put your stuff in front of more people's eyes. So yeah, if you are going to go down that route, know who you're talking to, please.
Yeah, definitely.
Please.
Yeah. I mean, and we do see people who get around it by using their personal page as their business page. And fine, go for it. Do what you need to do. But don't think just because you set up a business page on Facebook or Instagram that you, like you say, you can get the followers, but Facebook, Instagram don't necessarily show every single person what you've written,
Mm.
what you're talking about, where you are. They don't do that. If you're looking specifically for a person that you've met somewhere, then you'll have more opportunity to connect with them.
Yeah, and it comes back to what we were saying earlier about the post and ghost. That's like those days are gone because
Yeah,
of what we've just been talking about. You can't just post an image and then expect every one of your 1,000 followers, again using that example, to like it, comment it on it, or even just see it. This is where like the the social part of social media,
yeah,
you have to go out there and connect with these people, because like I was saying about, if you regularly like an account's images, you'll see more of it. But then also if that account actively engages with you, then you will naturally see more of that image. So you have to do the social bit.
yeah,
That's why it's called social media.
yeah. I think that gets forgotten, doesn't it now?
Yeah.
And I also think that there are people who are constantly trying to trick the system. Like the system's massive. You're one person. You can't trick the system. They make sure of it. The algorithms are set up in such a way that if you don't engage, you won't be engaged with. Um, yeah, no matter how hard you try, either be on it or don't be on it. There doesn't seem to be any middle ground anymore. I do get asked, I've got, as I more than one Instagram account, and that they do often put it in front of me that I do have these others, and it's like, no, no, I don't know why I even started. I really don't. Thought it was a good idea, taking up my time, not much engagement either from me or from anyone else. So no, I'm not going back to
Mm.
resurrect them. I wish I could delete them. I can't work out how to do it. Um, but there are people everywhere that can show you these things. But I'm like, nope, I'm just going to let it just do its thing somewhere, clog up the energy world, as it were. There are other platforms, aren't there? And I know you had Pinterest was an interesting one for you. Just talk about Pinterest a little bit from your point of view.
Yeah, so I don't really see Pinterest as a social media. I know it's like kind of bundled into that
Yeah.
sort of thing. But I don't see it as a social media. I think it's a search engine just with images rather than words. Um, and I actually find from a quieter, gentler marketing point of view, it can be more beneficial in my experience. So, with my previous business with my skincare collection, Pinterest was one of the best things for getting traffic to my website. The thing is, it wasn't necessarily the best thing for conversion
Mm.
because Pinterest is very much a, like I say, a search engine. So people are looking for inspiration or information. So people would come over from Pinterest to my website for the information. So I had a huge blog section on my website. I had the website for years and years and years. So shared a lot of skincare and well-being information. And people would come for that and not necessarily stick around for, to actually buy the products. So it was beneficial in that way. And then obviously you have to look at what's going on the website page itself. Like, is that inviting people to buy? Is it? And also, you can never be sure where people are going to come from on Pinterest because like on social media, you'll have your following, you'll have your community in some way. On Pinterest, you have no sense of who that is. Like anybody in the world, anywhere can, well, if you go internet, can see your pins on Pinterest. So I had a lot of people from the likes of India and, those sorts of areas in the world, which weren't necessarily going to buy from, a small UK company because, the delivery is going to be more than the product itself. So that's one thing. Like I found Pinterest very useful for traffic. But there's positives and negatives to everything, isn't there? But yeah, from a more gentle point of view for marketing, I would prefer that over social media because that is more of like you can post it and forget about it.
Mm.
Because once you put, obviously they're called pins on Pinterest, not posts, but once you put your pin up there, your post, so you have your graphic, whatever, or your image, whatever it is, a little bit of information, and then the link to your website page or wherever you want to send it to. You can put that out there, and then it kind of takes on a life of its own. So other people can repin it. So now at the moment, because I closed my skincare company about 18 months ago now, I deleted all of those pins off my account, but they're still out there in many, many places. But because the website's not there anymore, they won't actually lead anywhere. But there's no way that I can go and delete those pins because they're on other people's accounts. And, like even just finding them wherever they are on Pinterest would be a task in itself. And I would have no control over deleting them. So that is how I got a viral article on a blog post on my website, because it just went, like, the pin just went crazy on Pinterest, and I got loads of hits onto this one article on my website, and that's how it happened.
Yeah, it is. I mean, like I say, there's so many platforms, and then what's crossed my mind is YouTube. Where does YouTube fit into this? Because
Well, I
it's
think
massive. It's just so much on there.
I was thinking about that while when we began this conversation, actually, and I was thinking about, because obviously this podcast episode is going to end up on YouTube, and to me, I think YouTube is a search engine as well, but
Yeah,
a video-based one,
yeah,
obviously. But then also there is a lot of, especially on the bigger accounts, the bigger channels, there is a lot of that community building goes on as well. So there's like the comments that you can put under the video. You can leave a comment. I'm not sure it's a social media, because there's not really a lot of conversation goes on in that. So yeah, I'd be more inclined to describe it as a search engine.
yeah. I agree with you. It is one of the first places I go if there's something that I need to check on, especially if it's to do with websites and stuff, and how do I do this and how do I do that. And it's just amazing the free content that people
Mm,
will post. Um, and it's just like from my point of view, you have to love doing that content for it to actually help you in your business. I
mm,
watch an awful lot of free things. Coming into spring as we are, since I did nutritional therapy course way back when I was ill, every spring I do a liver cleanse. And so I've just been checking out castor oil. And it was always a thing in the alternative course I did. It wasn't anything unusual, but it seems to, on YouTube, be massive. Like people have just like discovered castor oil. I'm like, no, it's always been there. But there are younger people than me, new people, coming up with slightly different ways of using castor oil. And I'm like, oh God, thanks. I'm glad I'm here. I'm glad I found this. And now I'll look at my liver pack in a slightly different way, to the way that I've been consistent with it in the spring over the years. And it's just like, thanks for the information, but it's not leading me to anybody's business
mm,
as such. Now, whether there's something that will keep churning subconsciously, I don't know. And I might go looking other people up. But yeah, when my tinnitus is really bad, I go and look for someone who show me little exercises to do with my ears to reduce the sound of the tinnitus, and how to massage my lymph system around my ears and my face. Thanks, don't need to see anyone now. Um,
mm,
so I do find the whole online world fascinating,
mm.
interesting, a complete mystery at the same time. Yeah,
And
social media. Oh, honestly.
I think what you were saying about you have to love creating the content is true. And also what we've kind of been saying about, getting views, engagement, even traffic to your website doesn't necessarily mean it's going to result in money in your bank account, which, let's be honest, if we're using it as a business, that's what we want. We're a business, we want to make money. So I think while you have to, if you're in business and if you're using it for that, while you have to love creating the content and on whatever platform you're on, I think there also needs to be some sort of plan, process, strategy, something in that ballpark of how it's going to become part of your business and your money generating activities, because otherwise it's a hobby, isn't it? And I mean, like, we can talk about this podcast, like we created this because we like having these sorts of conversations, and, wanted to share our conversations and our knowledge and our experience with others. It wasn't necessarily in the business plan. And that's okay, because I think somewhere, while I'm saying like you need to have some sort of strategy in place as well, there's also in business so much room for experimentation, which is, what this is for us. We don't yet know really how it fits into our business plan, and I use that term very loosely. And that's okay, but at some point, because it takes time to record these episodes, takes time to edit them, schedule them, upload them, as does any content on any platform, takes time out of your day. There needs to be some sort of give back, I suppose, from that. And it doesn't need to be, somebody listens to this and clicks through to the link and pays us some money. It doesn't need to be that. It might be, just people are more aware of who we are and all of that kind of stuff. But I think if you're using it from a strategic business point of view, whatever social media or whatever platform you're on, there needs to be somewhere in the back of your mind, how does this then translate through to business? And how does it benefit my business in the long term? And going back to something else you were saying earlier about people new to business tend to go on every platform and all of that kind of stuff. And I think to make life easier for yourself, just choose one thing and stick at it, because, you can't necessarily see a huge benefit in, I don't know, a couple of months, maybe not even in 6 months, 12 months, No. You need to kind of give these things time to bed in, to create your credibility, your profile on whatever platform. I mean, like, this is episode 21, is it? I think, of this podcast. And we, I don't know how many subscribers we've got, around 20, I think. I mean, we might think, God, we've been doing this for 10 months and we've only got 20 subscribers. Well, that's no good then, isn't it? Like, what's next? What should we try next? Which really, you see, well, YouTube channels or Instagram accounts or whichever platform, and they've got like millions of followers or subscribers. And so I was watching a Diary of a CEO podcast recently, and he's got like however many millions of followers. And he just mentioned that he started the podcast 6 years ago. And it's like, yeah, he didn't get millions of subscribers like overnight. He's been doing it for 6 years. And I think we need to give ourselves the opportunity and the permission to be beginners at things. And I think that's one of the dangers of social media and these sorts of platforms, is that we see the, in inverted commas, overnight success. Like, we see the big accounts, we see the people living the dream life and all of that kind of stuff. And we're here at the beginning and thinking, well, why isn't that working for me? So yeah, be a beginner. It's all right.
Yeah, it is all right. What would you say to people? What do I want to say here? So, for instance, I started on Instagram because I like to take photographs. And it was at that time a great place to put photos. But what about if someone particularly likes to write? So someone who's really into sort of giving information, blog posts type thing. Is there a platform, would you say, that would work better for them? Or is that where the website itself comes in?
So there's kind of two ways you can look at it from my point of view. So for me, Instagram, although it was a very visual platform, to me was like a mini blogging platform, because you like, you think of Twitter, you get, well, I know it's changed a lot, but when it started, it was like 140 characters. Like, Instagram, you could write a lot. It gave you a lot of characters, so that was kind of like a mini blogging platform for me when I first started using it. Then there are also platforms like Oh, I can't think what it's called now. But there is a platform that is for writers, and the name has completely gone out of my head. Which I think is like a, you can go on there as a user, as a reader, and you can discover different writers. So there's that sort of thing. But then also for me, when I'm talking to clients, because I've had, people say, "Oh, I'm thinking of using this platform," that the name might come back to me at some point. Um, and I'm like, okay, so my question is then, what are you hoping to achieve through your writing? So if you just want to share your writing, and I think this platform, people can subscribe. So a bit like Patreon for like video content, but it's like for written. So you can create a subscription and people can join and you get your content. If you just want to build a following, create a bit of money around your writing, great, then go for that. If you are writing to sell or market or raise awareness around a product or service that you are offering, then you want as many eyes as possible within your niche and all of that on your website. So you want to direct people to your website. And I think that's the two ways of approaching writing online. It's like, are you doing it for the joy of writing and because you want to share your writing, or are you doing it to sell this other thing that you do?
There's so much, isn't there? I mean, there's some platforms that have just been around forever, and there's clearly others that the newer ones, but they seem to take off really quickly, like TikTok.
Mm,
I know there've been others as well. I can't remember them now. Um, and I know that TikTok certainly has its niches. I know from the lady who comes to do my cleaning, she goes on TikTok looking for cleaning tips because she knows that I like a more eco products and eco
mm.
way of cleaning the house. So she never used to, she thought I was weird at one time. But then TikTok comes along and there's all these people showing you how to clean your windows with white vinegar, which we've been using in this house for years. And suddenly I'm validated. Suddenly, whoa, you should be on TikTok showing everybody what you do. I don't want to show people cleaning. I just don't. It's not my thing. But this it's horses for courses, isn't it? Do you want to be entertained? There's tons of stuff out there. My word, the choices you've got for entertainment on social media, on TV, wherever, is vast. I've never known anything like it. Um, but it's interesting you talking about the platforms for people who write. I didn't know that was a thing at all. Um, I just thought it would be a website that you put stuff on. But so there's something for everyone out there.
There is. And I think you're right. It's about finding what medium you like to use, whether it's video, whether it's writing, whether it's images, and finding a platform that supports that.
Yeah, and I also think there's the other thing that you said about people who've been around for ages on certain platforms who have masses of followers. It didn't happen overnight. And I think about YouTube, I think about yoga with Adriene. Now I can talk about her, and I've followed her and I've done her yoga. Am I ever going to buy anything from her? No, I don't think so. I doubt that I'm going to get to one of her classes. She's in America, I'm here. Um,
Mm,
and I think she must love it because she's always done it right from the start of her starting her business. She's always shown you how she does yoga. And I know a lot of people attempt to copy her style, but they certainly don't have the following that she's got. And I think if you
mm,
were there at the start of these platforms coming online, that alchemy, that the part of you that wanted to show the world, and hey, here's the platform to do it on. Boom, there you are together. Great. But now we're inundated with people attempting to copy that, forgetting, like you say, that like the Diary of a CEO didn't start yesterday. It started several yesterdays ago.
Mm.
And then there are things like you can watch people who are really big in social media, people like Gary Vaynerchuk, who has employs like 100 people to do his social media for him. They put out nearly 100 posts per day on social media. About what? I'm not convinced. I'm not sure. But there is one thing he did say, is that if you're like a visual artist, and it's not necessarily about finding something new to create, he recommended to a young guy to document his life. And I think that's something else that we like about social media. We like to see what's happening in other people's worlds. Unfortunately, I think that has been biased with that positive image. Like you can't show the negative side of life.
Mm.
And that can play into people's fears that they're not doing life right, when in actual fact, neither is the person who is showing you their perfect lifestyle. Because that's not a thing. There's no such
Mm.
thing as perfect. We have to get over this perfectionism thing. Um, but what's it called when you're living vicariously through other people's worlds and forgetting that actually your life and your worth is a value.
Mm.
You just have to you have to work on that though, and it's easier to watch other people doing it rather than do it for yourself.
Yeah, and there was a woman that I kind of we moved in the same business circles for a while, some years ago now. And I remember I met her for coffee one morning, and she took a photo of like the table and all of that kind of stuff and posted it to Facebook. And she was like, "Nothing happens if it doesn't happen on Facebook." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, that's how okay, that's how you use social media, and that's how you market like your business, because it is that kind of documenting rather than creating." And actually, what I found from my own experience and how I have used social media in the past is like if I'm posting more on social media, there's less going on in my life. Because if I'm out busy living my life, enjoying my life, doing this, that, and the other, I forget to post it on social media. Like that's not
Yeah,
important to me in my mind that it
yeah,
needs to go on there for everybody else to see. Um, Yeah, so now, like I was saying earlier about using social media to stay in touch with friends like around the country, really, it's very rarely that any of us post on social media. So, you know, to keep in touch, yes, but not very often because we're busy with life.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's an
And
interesting one, isn't it?
I think going back to what we were saying about Diary of a CEO, and yeah, I think maybe we should get in touch with him because we've advertised him a lot on this episode. Um, like he doesn't use the platform, from what I can see, to sell particularly. It's like a service um, from him more than anything, because he's already made his millions. I
Mm.
don't actually know what his business was. I know he was a very young, like he was a millionaire at 23 or something, wasn't he? Um, um, and I don't actually know, because I've only found the channel in recent years. I don't know what the beginning of that channel was like. It might have been, documenting, given like the title of the channel. It
Mm.
might have been documenting his journey in business. I don't know. I haven't gone back and had a look. Um, but now it's become this thing where he gets some really impressive guests on there, like really high up in their field, um, big name guests on his channel, um, as entertainment, information, whatever you want to call it, for his viewers. So yeah, it kind of comes back to what we were saying about what is the reason for sharing whatever you're sharing, wherever you're sharing it.
Yeah, one
because
of the things that I remember we discussed when we talked about doing some form of podcast style was that we wanted to bring the introvert's point of view because we just felt that there wasn't enough of this out there yet.
mm,
I think it's changing. The more I use the word introvert, the more it seems to pop up on social media. It's like want to buy a red car. Well, all you ever see a red car. Suddenly everybody's driving a red car. So it's an interesting concept from my point of view because I still think there's a long way for introverts to go in terms of educating the more extrovert population. And even it's almost like giving permission to other introverts to go, that's me,
mm,
that's me. I need more of what they're talking about. So that was partly one of the reasons behind why we wanted to do this. And again, it's not about selling our business. It is about just giving over some information as we go along, go through life, go through business. So yeah, social media and introverts could be a match made in heaven in some ways, in hell in others. But it is that whole thing, work out how it works for you, not
mm,
what the more extrovert community is telling you you should be doing. If it's not for you, don't do it. But work out how, if you're in business as a solopreneur and you identify as an introvert, how are you going to get your name out there? How are you going to market your business? Because that's
yeah,
what we're talking about using social media with business. Is it's you can use it as a marketing tool simply. You don't have to be all guns blazing all of the time. Because if you do that, you won't have time to see clients. You just won't have
yeah,
time for that. So, yeah, use it judiciously, I would say.
yeah. And I think um, I feel that the growth of social media and how you can use it for business marketing. So whether that's like whichever platform, whether that's organically or paid ads or whatever, 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 I think in some ways has kind of made marketing advice a little bit lazy because there are other channels than social media to market your business if social media doesn't work for you. But I think so much of um, marketing coaches, marketing agencies, whatever you call them, are like, well, are you on social media? And are you on this platform? And are you using this platform? And are you doing this, that, and the other? And have you tried Facebook ads? And while yes, there's so much benefit you can get from marketing your business on social media, taking into account everything that we've talked about already, um, it's not the only way to market your business. Like you were saying before, you've got friends who marketed their businesses before social media even existed. And it is still possible. I
And
mean,
very successful. That's the other
yeah,
thing. Working from home. Nobody's sort of walking past the house going, oh my word, look, there's a therapist. No, there was just other ways of doing it. But social media, it has such a lot going for it, but you have to have an understanding of it,
mm,
is what I've learned. And I also think you have to have a focus, quite a laser focus on the style of platform that you're going for. And that will depend on the style of information that you're giving out, and then the style of person you are, the age you are. And it's almost like you are niching yourself onto a
mm.
platform. And so you then need to know the niche that you are offering your services to as well.
Yeah, because these social media platforms are businesses in themselves. They will have their niche of users that they want to be using that platform,
Yeah.
which each of us will fit into whichever niche goes with whichever platform we are attracted to. There was something else I was going to say then, and it's completely gone out of my head. Nope, that's gone. That's gone.
Yep, you missed that one. I bet that was the best nugget of information as well. Oh my word. It'll come to her next week. We'll bring it to you in the next podcast. Yeah, so much still left to say. I'm convinced. I do want to say that yes, you can use all the social media in the world, and I do think that one of the things that we recognised a couple of years ago was required is you do still have to meet people. People sell to people, and that's what marketing is. You're selling when you're in business. You're selling something. You want someone to buy from you. So again, choose your platform where your niche market is. And if you don't like selling, then you're not in business. I had to wrap my head around that one. It's like, oh, I have to make money. I have to sell me and my service. Oh, right. Okay.
And
Get away from it.
as Daniel Pink says, to sell is human.
It really is. Even
Because
when we used to have bartering systems, that's what we were doing. We were
mm,
offering one thing in exchange for another.
and even not in like a business point of view, but you know, if you're dating, you're trying to sell yourself as a prospective partner to this person. Or if you're, you know, I don't know, in any social situation, you're trying to sell yourself and your opinions, your personality, whatever it is, to whoever you're talking to.
Yeah. So much more to be said.
I know we could
I
just
feel
be
like,
going.
yes, rather than bore our listener now, perhaps we should bring this session to a close for today.
Well, I'm not going to ask the question because I don't think we are done.
No, but what I want you to do, Sammy, just give people a brief overview of your business and then I'll do mine and we'll say goodbye.
So my business is called Sami Rainbow. I am a business coach with a focus on branding, strategy, and design. So, you know, a lot of what we've talked about today comes into it. Who is it that you are looking to work with, aka your niche? How are you going to communicate with them, to them, and connect with them in a way that builds not only your bank account but also relationships with these clients and customers as well. So all of that good stuff, because we don't have to be on social media all the time.
No,
Just
but you
saying.
don't get your
Just
clients
saying.
from social media, do you? You get them from networking.
Yeah. And I think that's right what you were saying about you know, you still need to talk to people, especially if you are in a person focused like service, like a coach, therapist, or whatever. People need to get to know who you are.
Yeah, cool. How can they contact you?
Oh, so I don't use social media. I do have an Instagram account. I haven't used it for some months. And I check it every now and again because it's not on my phone, but I check it on my laptop and I see like I've got new followers. I'm like, why? I haven't posted anything in months. Why are you following me? Anyway, so it's best to go to my website, sammyrainbow.co.uk, and mine and Denise's information will be linked below.
Marvelous. So before I say goodbye, I'm Denise Oliver. My business is Diva Empowerment, Diva DEVA, and that's the Roman word for Chester. And I'm all about women's empowerment. And I believe as introverts that we are very much, we play an inner game, but we don't necessarily always understand it. It can be very confusing, our emotions, our feelings in particular. And my specialism is grief and loss. And the any traumas we've experienced in life can create wounds and pain. And as introverts, we often will hold it in and not express it. So I'm all about you turning your pain into power and your wounds into wisdom and working I work with you to give you tools where you can take any stress that you're experiencing and build resilience from that. So without stress, we wouldn't actually know how to have resilience and vice versa. And I love what I do. So Diva Empowerment is divaempowerment.com, or you can find me on Facebook as Diva Empowerment as well. So yeah, we both love what we do, and We're both introverts, and we use social media differently, and we do it in a way that works for us as individuals with individual businesses. Yes. So for today, are we done?
I think so. Quick, end the episode before we start going off on another tangent somewhere.
Okay, I will do that now. So thanks everyone for listening, and we'll be back in a couple of weeks with yet another topic, from us introverts to you lot out there. Take care, everyone. Bye.
Bye bye.